Hello there, I'm Boo, or Jamie, and I like drawing, maximizing my hours in all the Pokemon games to find shinies, and I like to complain about lore in World of Warcraft. Hello, and welcome back to another episode on the channel. Today, we're gonna do the second part of you wanted to see all of my characters. I'm gonna show you all of my characters. And we're gonna change our realm because we have a few more on our little list. In case you're wondering, all of these servers at some point or another have been my main servers, but obviously over the years also I migrated some of my characters from these onto my current one, Antonidas, and also, as many of you alcoholics know, I deleted a few. I actually deleted quite a few characters, and if you want, I can also do a little special episode where I'm gonna go through all the deleted characters, at least the ones that still show up. Tell me if you want to see that. And we're gonna click on Alaria. This used to be my main server for quite a long time. I played mostly Alliance here because this is a very Alliance heavy server. And just a quick heads up before we really get into it, this is probably going to be the last video for a little bit because we are going to move in a few days, and as you know, setting up internet, setting up yourself in a new city always takes some time, but I will keep you up to date and I hope you and the YouTube algorithm will forgive me. And now we're just gonna jump right back into it. Like I said, this used to be my main server for many years. I played the entirety of Battle for Azeroth here, but also a bit of Legion and also quite a big chunk of Shadowlands. And right here we have another Cersei. This character used to be a human, but then they updated the Lightforged Draenei and gave them a bunch of new cosmetic options, and I just couldn't help myself. I had to race change her. And ever since then, she's been a Lightforged Draenei. I tanked so much with her, especially M+, as always, but also a little bit of raiding. And I played so much Korthia with this character. I think she got so many of the Season 1 and Season 2 achievements of Shadowlands and also a bunch of BFA stuff. And she's actually the character that really made me appreciate Paladin tank in Shadowlands. And onwards we move to her transmog. This is almost the entire Tier 7 Naxxramas set. I think this is the 25 people version. One of my absolute favorite sets. I actually prefer this coloration to the very elusive Tier 3 from Naxxramas, the vanilla version of it. I just really like the gold and the turquoise coloration. I think they go perfect together. And with it I have transmogged a PvP girdle from Mists of Pandaria of the Paladin. And very fitting in my opinion is the legendary hammer from Ulduar, Valinir, I think it's called. This is a rather easy to get legendary. You just have to push one character that can wear it. All the healer classes obviously can do it through Ulduar quite a few times, and in the end you're gonna end up with 30 of the pieces of the hammer, and then you can just assemble them and boom, you have a new legendary. It's actually one of the legendaries I really like. I just have no notes about this design. I think it's perfect, and I don't think it shows its age at all. Like many things from Wrath of the Lich King, I think this aged with such grace and looks so amazing. I could gush about this legendary for ages. And the shield you already know, and I just wanted to make a little correction. I said in my video, and even though I corrected it on screen with text, that it's from a chest, but it's not from a chest. It's actually from the main rare mob that you get from the anima. Oh, I didn't look up that word, but you know, the one that activates all the bosses and chests, and the last boss that you can activate if you have upgraded it to Tier 3. That boss can drop this shield. Moving on to Miasma. This character was mostly just there for the Mage Tower challenge when it first got re-released in the middle of Battle for Azeroth? No, wait, it was not Battle for Azeroth. I think it was Shadowlands, right? They released it when there was absolutely no content coming out in the first season of Shadowlands, if I remember that correctly. When they re-released the Mage Tower, it was actually not really that easy. All the tier set bony and all that stuff was disabled in it, and it wasn't a walk in the park. So one of the tricks that you could do was that you could create a level 50 character and farm a bunch of Siege of Orgrimmar items and trinkets, and also this old PvP gear from Mists of Pandaria, because you can socket it. And that was basically this character's whole purpose. I had a bunch of fun with her, and it was really challenging, and it was really cool to do the challenge in a little bit of a special way. And the set that she's wearing is a complete, also from Mists of Pandaria PvP set. You can just buy it from the PvP vendors on the Serpent Spine, I think it's called, the big wall of Pandaria. And her weapon is once again just the artifact weapon from the Shadow Priest from Legion. Moving on, we come to another character that was mostly just there to farm stuff. As you can see, she was basically just created to help me farm the very set that you can see her in, because plate is not the only armor type that got a special Argus attire. They also added one for cloth. And just like you can farm with multiple plate wearers per day all the rare mobs and all the rare chests, you can do the same for cloth, and cloth is actually easier because you don't have to quest anything for them to drop from basically every chest in the Antoran Wastes and also a lot of the rare mobs. And the very fitting weapon, in my opinion, is one of the colorations of the hidden appearance of the Frost Mage's staff. And just ignore my very, very ugly Zereth Mortis offhand. This is a bug you probably know. If you have something transmogged into your class weapon from Legion that is not, for example, in this case, a staff, then sometimes in the login screen you can see your offhand very ugly and not transmogged and probably not fitting with your attire at all. And here we come to Mordred, and oh man, I'm kinda sad that this character is stuck on this dead realm for me, because this is my main hunter from Legion. This was the very first hunter that I really mained. Like I said in my very first video that I ever uploaded for YouTube, I started playing World of Warcraft because my mom and my uncle actually played World of Warcraft right at the beginning of vanilla, and my mom always allowed me to run around with her character for a little bit because I was teeny tiny and definitely not old enough for World of Warcraft myself. And her main character for all the time that she played World of Warcraft had always been a hunter. She actually loved the class so much that she had multiple hunters, because back in the day you couldn't spec all the different specs at once. You had to respec every time, and every time you wanted to respec you had to go to your class trainer and had to spend a bunch of gold there, multiplying with each time you wanted to respec. So what she did was just having a hunter for all the 3 different specs. So I never really played a hunter because in my eyes it was always her class. But when she stopped playing with the drop of Legion, I started playing a hunter, and I realized, okay mom, I get it why you played this class so much, because it's such a cool class. I said this again and again in all of my videos. This is probably my favorite class of them all, even though I love Death Knight and Demon Hunter and Shadow Priest just as much. But this class just has it all in my opinion, and I just love the little mini game of collecting pets. I also gathered all the rare engineering pets from Legion. I already talked about this when we gathered all the mechanical pets in one of my hunter videos, but back in Legion they added these mechanical pets, and not only did you need a special item, you still need this by the way, to even tame them if you're not a gnome or a goblin. Also, all of them had challenges attached to them, some easier, some harder. For example, this dog, if I'm not completely mistaken, is a rare spawn that is invisible unless you follow a little oil track and make it visible with your flare. And I kinda hated that they made all of these pets pretty easily obtainable if you just go to Mechagon. I just like it when some things are challenging. I don't mind if I don't have everything in a game just because I'm not good enough to manage to do the challenge. I think in a game like World of Warcraft that's absolutely fine, but hey. And for the transmog, well, this is a little bit all over the place. Parts of this is from a drop set that is called, I think, think the Ebon something. If you type in Ebon for male armor, then you will find it. The shoulder and belt are from the Maldraxxus Covenant set, and the head is from a little secret quest that you can do in the Hunter's Order Hall, where you have to talk to a wannabe Dark Ranger, and in the end of that little quest chain you will get this transmog head, which is really cool. I like it. I wish they would have given us a complete set with this, but hey. Moving on to Umbreon. This is, you won't believe it, yet another Shadow Priest. This was my Maldraxxus character. As you might know, in Shadowlands you couldn't for a very long time easily change your covenants. You kinda had to decide and then you had to stick with your covenant, and it kinda ruined the entire system for everyone involved. I don't know why they did it, but hey, I'm glad that they finally backed down on it and, you know, pulled the ripcord. But this was the character that I had in the Maldraxxus Covenant, because when Shadowland launched, I wanted nothing more than to be with the Necrolords, but I played a hunter, and hunters very famously had to go to the Night Fae. I didn't like the Night Fae one bit. It was really not my vibe, and I was just very grumpy. And once I was done with that raiding season in Shadowlands, I changed my main onto this character and started playing a little Shadow Priest. And she's still in her Necrolord attire. I love this set. I love all the Necrolord sets. I think they're the clear winners, even though I gotta say most of the Covenant sets are amazing. I think I've said this time and time again. When it comes to transmog, Shadowlands just really delivered. It hardly delivered on anything else, but it definitely delivered on style. And onwards we move to Thomason, named after one of my favorite characters from a very small indie movie called The Witch. And this is, I think, the only warrior I ever really played. I played this character a lot during Battle for Azeroth, especially during the first and last season. The last season was such a blast in Battle for Azeroth. If you didn't play it, it was all about corruptions and N'Zoth, and these corruptions were completely volatile. It was a little bit like it is now in the remix, but just imagine remix, but also the more power you gain, the more effects you gather that also hurt you. And I kind of wish they would try something like that in the War Within, since it's gonna be so much about old gods anyway, but we shall see. And this transmog is once again a complete set. This is the heroic set from the Dragon Soul set of the Warrior. Very Deathwing, very old god. This also comes in a red and in a yellow version. Both look amazing in my opinion. This is one of my absolute favorite Warrior sets, and maybe at some point we're gonna play Warrior, because just like Warlock, I think that Warrior has many really cool sets, or maybe it just seems that way to me because I never really played any of these classes. And the weapons are from Garrosh, as you know. They drop in Mists of Pandaria, the Siege of Orgrimmar. I think these are the mythic weapons from him, if I remember this correctly. And yeah, that's my little warrior. Enjoy the site, because I think this is really the only one I have, apart from Jezebel, that is saving the name on the other server. Onwards we move to yet another Cersei. Like I said, I really love this girl, so I have a lot of paladins that are named after her. Different from her attire right now, she was a Retribution paladin though. I thought that was a bit more fitting with the name Cersei than a Protection one. Just later on, Protection was a lot more fun. If you only recently picked up Retribution, then you might not know this, but Retribution used to be kind of a joke. The spec didn't really do damage, and it also didn't really play well, and I mostly just played the spec so I could play through the Legion Order Hall campaign, because I never had done that before, and it was a blast. And this set is mostly based on Ventier sets. The weapon and the shield are both just the weapons that you can buy once you have reached a certain renown level with the Ventier. The dress, the girdle, and the hands and the feet also all come from a set like that. I think you can also just buy it. And the shoulders are from the Human Heritage questline, and I thought they're really fitting with our little lioness. Just ignore the bird on her shoulder. And on we move to yet another bank character. This bank character has not really anything to do anymore, because, well, I'm not playing on this realm anymore. But also I can't really delete her, because this character is the only character that that is left in a friend's old bank guild. And since he never really stopped playing, but he's also not really playing, you know, I can't really abandon the guild. So I'm just stuck with this cutie pie over here. She's just here to stay and slay. She's dressed completely in the mythic version of the Nyalotha set. As you can see, this is not the coolest set they ever put out, and while cloth and played really good, such cool sets, the male set is okay, but Blizzard, next time could you please do something with like the chest and the legs, and maybe don't give us these clown feet? I don't really know what they smoked when they created this set. I think it's really lacking. I think they could have done so much more with this. I mean, at least the weapon is cool. The weapon obviously also comes from Nyalotha, and since it's not only a male item, it also looks awesome, even though I just realized that the eye in it is not really moving. Okay, that is a little bit upsetting. I always thought the eye was moving. Onwards we move to my beautiful Mary Sue, as the name is intended. This was my BFA main for quite a long time. This was kinda the successor of Jamie on the other server, simply because I didn't want to pay, first of all, the server transfer, but also turn her into an alliance character just then. I just leveled a new Demon Hunters, since leveling Demon Hunters is really a blast. And yeah, what can I say? She's a Demon Hunter, she's fun, she's gorgeous. I raided mostly Battle for Daza Alor with her, but also a bit of Old Deer. And her transmog is part of the mythic set from Tomb of Sagaras. Basically just the hands, the shoulders and the feet. I love the hands and the feet of this set, by the way, because you get these very, very long nails. I wish this was in customization options for all Demon Hunters, because I think it looks awesome. And the rest of the set is from the leatherworking set that I already mentioned last video. Like I said, the chest looks different on Demon Hunters. On other leather classes this looks rather boring, but the belt and the pants are the same. And the weapon are the tank glyphs from Legion. You just get these for finishing your Autohaul campaign. And the last one on this list is Kisame. Yes, even this name is free on Alaria. I know. Sometimes I also just want to go back. And this is, you won't believe it, one of my many enhancers. I've played her a bunch, especially throughout the last season of Battle for Azeroth, especially because there was a really cool weapon that you could get if you were very lucky from Raden from Nyalotha that had a really cool effect that like procced these tentacles that would just slam forward, and especially with Wind Fury that was absolutely ridiculous. I never managed to get more than just the normal weapons, but even those were better than any of the other weapons that I could get, and it was just, well, let's just say this character just slammed everything with a wave of tentacles wherever she went. And her transmog is a little fun combination that I like to do on many of my male characters, because both sets that I've combined here are available for all the male classes. The shoulder, belt, hands and feet are from the Old Deer Mythic set, and the chest and the legs are from the Heroic Sanctum of Domination set. And even though you gotta keep in mind that on other races the kneecaps and this upper part of the feet are gonna clip into one another, this set looks amazing on any race in my opinion, and it's a really cool combination. And also it's kinda nice that for once it's two hues of gold that go well along together. As you probably know, especially if you play a paladin or a priest, we have many golden sets in this game and not many fit well together. And the weapons are, if I'm not completely off, from a little meta achievement that you can do in Zereth Mortis that just gives you these very cool Maw / Sanctum of Domination / kinda Ice Crown themed weapons in gold. And on we move to the next server. This is another server that I spent quite a lot of time on, especially during BFA and Shadowlands. And on we move to LaFay. This is a character that is a good reminder that, you know, a funny name only gets you this far. This character, man, I did so much stuff with this character during Battle for Azeroth. Battle for Azeroth really is an expansion that I enjoyed greatly. I don't have much bad to say about the expansion. A few story decisions were absolutely horrible in my opinion, obviously, but also it pales in comparison to Shadowlands in that regard, so I can't really be that mad. And also the zones, the quests, the characters, all of that I just really vibed with, and I hope that we will get something like that again. And now that I talked long enough about my love for Battle for Azeroth, I'm gonna talk about this hunter, or rather her transmog, a little bit more. She is basically completely dressed in the, I don't think any more obtainable Brawler's Guild set. You got this set for completing the Brawler's Guild in Battle for Azeroth, a feature that I hope they will return at some point. It was like this little fight club thing where you would just battle against rather easy to very hard bosses. Especially when they released the Brawler's Guild, it was really hard because you couldn't just damage your way through. You actually had to do kinda insane tactics and you were completely on your own. And what made it a little bit more spicy was that other people could watch you try and most of the time fail to all of these bosses, which made it a very fun experience. And every time they brought back the Brawler's Guild, I played it completely through. I had a blast doing so, and like I said, I hope that we will see the return of this. Also, the tabard is from this Brawler's Guild event, and the bow is one of my absolute favorite bows from Naxxramas. Like many weapons in Naxxramas, I think it drops from multiple bosses, so if you want to farm this, get ready for a little bit of a farm in general, but in my opinion, very worth, fits very well with many sets. Moving on, once again, you won't believe it, a Shadow Priest. This time one that I played during Shadowlands mostly. This was just a character that I've created to have a little bit of fun with a friend together. We did a bunch of raiding together on the server. That's why I created her in the first place. And I don't think there is much else to say to her except that she's wearing a beautiful transmog set. This set is another full set. It's from the Eternal Palace in Battle for Azeroth. This is the Mythic set. The weapon I'm wearing right now, though, you sadly can't get anymore. This is one of the weapons that you got for the challenge mode back in Warlords of Draenor, and the offhand is from the event here in Shadowlands. And on we move to Junji, once again an enhancement shaman. Ugh, I did so much with this character. This was basically the first shaman that I played through Legion. I did the entire Autohaul campaign with her. It was just like the priest one, a little bit of a snore. Though I gotta say, the Autohaul of the shamans is one of my absolute favorite ones. If you've never seen it, definitely go check it out. It's really a gorgeous place in my opinion. And the set she's wearing is another full set. This is a Cataclysm PvP set. I believe it's the last season of the expansion. It also comes with a cool hat. And I also really like this thing that they did with the Doomhammer, where the Doomhammer is the main weapon, but since enhancement always uses two weapons, you got like this offhand that is not always there, but you just create through your deep connections with the elements that Thrall only wishes he still had. But instead of the Doomhammer with this character, I chose to use one of my absolute favorite weapons in the game, the Twilight's Hammer that drops from Shogal in the Bastion of Twilight, the Cataclysm raid. And the offhand is one of these offhands that you just create as an enhancer. This one is from the hidden appearance from the enhancement shaman from Legion. And onwards we move to my only other monk that I ever really played, named after one of my favorite animals, Quokka. And with her I did so much Season 1 Shadowlands. Oh man, if you don't know, in Shadowlands Season 1, the monk still had one of these bugs that was all around their way of generating chi. And it was a bug, but it was a bug that was in the game since the very creation of monks back in Mists of Pandaria. And then at the end of Season 1, they just removed that bug, and then monks started to feel a little bit But I persevered and continued playing this character. But after Season 1 of Shadowlands, which lasted for over a year by the way, mind you, I just stopped playing this character, even though I played her up and down that season because I had so much fun with her. And she's wearing a very cool set. This is mostly the mythic version of the Demon Hunter set from the Emerald Nightmare. The shoulders, the chest, dress, the hands, the belt, and the shoes are from this set. One of my absolute favorite sets in the game forever because it's just so gorgeous and well thought of. But with Quokka, I chose to give her even more naked skin with one of these barbaric leg pants that you can farm in the lower levels, like level 5 to 10, I think it drops. The back piece, once again, is from this one rare mob in Maldraxxus that I think is called Blood Boil, and the weapons are from one of my all-time favorite raids, Hellfire Citadel, the Wallets of Draenor version, the normal mode. And onwards we move to, yes, you guessed it, another Cersei. This time she's a Blood Elf and she's wearing a gorgeous, gorgeous Mist of Pandaria PvP set. You already know the belt. We also wore this on the other Cersei, but this time this Cersei is wearing also the rest of this set. Her back piece are the Kyrian wings. Her shield is one of the Kyrian shields that you can just get in Bastion from rare mobs, and her weapon is the PvP version of the Protection Paladin weapon from Legion. And once again, this is a character that I played a lot during Shadowlands and BFA, as it is the case for all of these characters on Blackrock. As you can see, she was also a tank. I think she's the only character that I ever got Venari on Exalted with. If you don't know, Venari was a cool mob in the Maw and Shadowlands that they completely abandoned after the first season of Shadowlands. Moving on to Macy. This is a little Death Knight that I played during Shadowlands, especially during the first season, and she's just standing there looking gorgeous in the challenge mode set of the Death Knight that I have because I played a lot of Death Knight during Pandaria and obviously also got the challenge mode set there. And she's also wearing the Death Knight weapons from the trading post. And you might say, oh, so this is another dead character that you don't play anymore. And yes to that, she totally is. But because not only does she have a cool name, she is also the one character that I got invincible on. And no character that achieved that feat of strength deserves to be deleted ever. Even if she's just standing around in Orgrimmar looking pretty and very prestigious. And the last character on this list is yet another hunter, another beast hunter. This is Chuckle. This hunter also had many race changes. I played her during Legion, I played her during BFA, and I played her during Shadowlands. And actually in Shadowlands I kinda stopped playing her for quite a long time because, as you might see, she is not really a character that fits well with the whole Night Fae aesthetic, and yet I had to go there for my rating and for my M+, and it really made me very mad with the game. And I already talked about this in many of my other videos. I can only hope that the hero talents won't go down the same route. So far it sounds a lot like that. I just never like it when they tie aesthetic to player power. It never works, it's always a bad idea, and I will die on that hill no matter how much the internet will hate me for it. But hey, this was the first character that I got the Defilers on Exalted with. That is the PvP fraction in the Arathi Basin. Something that you by now can do very easily if you just wait for a comp stomp and grind the shit out of that. And her transmog is a offset that you can farm in Ulduar, one of my all-time favorite hunter sets. This comes in blue, red and green. The belt is a random drop from Najiatar that I just think fits very well with this set that otherwise doesn't really have a belt. And the beautiful bow that she's wearing drops from Galakras and Siege of Orgrimmar in different colorations. This is the LFR version, if I remember that correctly, and is also one of my all-time favorite bows. And on we have switched to the next server. This is actually the server that I started on all these years ago, and only 5 characters remain on this server. This is a character that I've created during Mists of Pandaria to do the Herald of the Titans achievement with my guild. This is an achievement that you can only do if your character, well, back in the day it used to be level 80, I don't know which level bracket it is now, but your character had to be level 80. I think your gear couldn't be better than the Trial of the Crusader normal 10-man version. We all created alts, we all leveled them up, then we did a little level stop in Stormwind, and then we just geared each other's alts until all of us were ready for the task at hand, and then we killed killed Algalon, the Observer, and 25 as a little group. And then we got the Herald of the Titans achievement. It was a bunch of fun. It was kind of a long ordeal because everyone wanted to level something different and at different times. And I think it took us over a month to assemble everyone at the same level and gear. But I really wish there were more achievements like that, because that is such a cool thing to do together with friends or a guild. But apart from that, she's just standing around in the Shrine of the Seven Stars and being very pretty. And to her transmog, obviously she's wearing some engineering goggles, she just has to. And these are from Mists of Pandaria. The transmog is the complete renown set of the Kyrian, and the weapon is the balance of power appearance of the elemental shaman weapon from Legion. And on we move to Kisera. This was my main in Mists of Pandaria apart from my Death Knight. This was the only time I really mained Druid in all of my years of World of Warcraft. She's also still in her entire mythic attire of Siege of Orgrimmar. She's also still on level 35, so she's still showing up the legendary cloak from Rathian in Mists of Pandaria the way it used to. The effects you now get from the achievement in Mists of Pandaria Remix are cool, but they don't show up to other people, but they used to. And with her, it still shows up to other people, which is very nice. And I did a lot of stuff with her. I obviously did the Brawlers Guild, so many achievements in Mists of Pandaria, so much transmog farming. Also, are her teeth moving around weirdly? I think they are. Well, anyway, her transmog set is one of my all-time favorite sets. This is the Druid set, the mythic version from the Blackrock Foundry. I don't think we ever got insect wings on a set ever again or before. And just for this set alone, I'm really thinking about playing a Druid again at some point. Her weapon is once again sadly not obtainable anymore. This is another weapon from the challenge mode from Warlords of Draenor. Instead of giving us a cool class set like they did in Mists of Pandaria, they gave us cool weapons with cool effects. And the offhand is one that you can just buy in Shathred City. Sadly, it doesn't show up if you sheet it. And moving on, this is, apart from Arthia, my paladin in the last video, my oldest character that I still have and haven't deleted. This is my Death Knight. I did so much stuff with this Death Knight. This was my very first Death Knight that I fell in love with. I mean, I didn't really need any convincing because I played Warcraft 3. I love Arthas, I love the Scourge, I love everything that is connected to that. So obviously Death Knight is in theory my favorite class. Sadly, it doesn't really live up to the hype anymore, to me at least. But hey, maybe with the War Within, I will fall in love with this class again. I would really like that. I played this character only during Wrath of the Lich King. After that, I switched to many other classes, but obviously, I will never delete this character, since not only did I do a lot of Wrath of the Lich King achievements on her, I'm also just nostalgic every time I log in on her. She's still standing in the old Dalaran, that's just where she's gonna chill. Literally. And this is another character that at some point it would be probably funny to look into her inventory. Moving on, we go to Uhafnir, who is named after one of my favorite Pokemon, the German name though. In English it's called Moivern. And well, this is the character that I did the Sword of Rin achievement with, which is the very, very annoying Ashran grind. That was the open world, in quotation marks, PvP thing that they added in Warlords of Draenor. I can't really say that I missed that battleground much. I didn't have much fun, but it had to be done. I think I already mentioned it in some of my other videos, but just like Battle for Azeroth, I really enjoyed myself a lot during Warlords of Draenor. Even though we didn't have many content updates, I loved the content that we got. I loved the raids, I loved the questing, I loved the characters. I love capital L-O-V-E, the questing zones. I think Warlords of Draenor is one of the prettiest expansions that we ever got. And I hope that if we ever get a remix version of Warlords of Draenor, maybe people will learn to appreciate that expansion for what it was. Keep in mind that expansion was cut in half in favor to get Legion up to par, because they realized that they couldn't really keep up and that people didn't really like some of the features as much as they thought, for example, the garrison. I think with more time put into it. Warlords of Draenor could have been such a beloved and fondly remembered expansion. But hey, let's move on to the transmog of this character. She's wearing the entire set that is the Shadow Moon set that you can get from the Dwarven Bunker or the opposite part on Horde side. I never built it there, so I don't really know what it's called right now. But with that thing, you can gather items throughout the Warlords of Draenor zones, and with that you can buy different transmog sets from the different Warlords of Draenor clans. And the weapon that she's wearing, once again, sadly, you can't get this anymore. This is another one of these challenge mode weapons from Warlords of Draenor. In my opinion, one of the rather ignored ones, sadly, because I think it looks really cool and it has a really nice effect and you never see it. Shout out to this cool weapon that you can't even get anymore. I hope you guys appreciated that I'm even showing you this, but this is also one of my oldest characters. And this is, you won't believe it, a mage. This is actually the first mage that I've ever created back in Wrath of the Lich King. I played her a bunch during that expansion, but I played her especially during Cataclysm. Her name is the German word for cup of coffee. And I was a lot younger during Cataclysm, alright? And also I thought it would be so funny if a character is called Cup of Coffee and had the title The Light of Dawn attached to them. And that's the whole reasoning behind her name. Moving on to her transmog, she's wearing the LFR version of the Dragon Soul set from the Mage, one of my favorite sets. Once again, as you can see, often I transmog my favorite sets, especially with characters that I don't log in on much often anymore. The hat is a rare drop from BC, and the weapon that she's wearing is obviously the legendary stuff that you got from Firelands in Cataclysm. I think the only other thing I can say about this character, apart from her name absolutely ruling, is that this is also the character that I did the most of the archaeology with. I did another big chunk of archaeology during Mists of Pandaria and obviously the other expansions, but especially when archaeology came out in Cataclysm, there was so much to do with that profession. And if you don't mind the occasional grind, and especially if you like to play mage, then I can only recommend these two things combined, because with a mage you can be on all these different dig sites, and it's kind of nice to sometimes just run around in the old zones. I know there are ways to do archaeology a lot more efficient than do it the old school way, but sometimes some of you appreciate doing stuff the slow and old school way, so I just wanted to mention it. And here we are on one of the last servers that we're gonna look at. This was my main server, especially during Legion, and we start off right the bat with Alessa, named after one of my favorite characters from Silent Hill, and she is another mage. I played her mostly for PvP reasons during Battle for Azeroth. If you don't know, with the release of Battle for Azeroth, they did this really cool thing called War Mode that we have now, but in Battle for Azeroth you actually use that mode, and most people were playing with that mode enabled because it actually made sense to use it, because you got a bunch of Azerite more, you got more gold, you got more experience, you got more of everything, and it also just fit with the whole lore and vibe of the expansion so well. I really miss the war mode, or rather what the war mode used to be. Now it's just something that you put on if you want to level faster, or if you just want to grind people that level faster. And the war mode used to be a really cool thing, and even though I've never been big on open world PvP, I used to have it enabled all the time. And she is dressed once again in one of my favorite sets. This is the 25 people version of the Naxxramas Tier 7 remake of the Mage set, a coloration that I actually like more than the very famous Tier 3 set of the Mage that is blue. I think the lilac just works really well, and it also works amazingly well with the balance of power appearance of the Frost Mage staff, I think this is. Moving on, we come to one of the only warlocks that I ever really played. Ignore the way that he's not really biting down on those roses, but it's kind of in the middle of his lower lip, and I don't know what's going on with that because I'm pretty sure if I log in, then it's actually between his teeth and not like that. But whatever, this is Isma. Yes, that is the name of the bad guy in The Emperor's New Groove. I just had to look that name up because in German it's called a little bit different than that. He is the only warlock that I ever really played. I played him during Legion. I had so much fun with the Orahel campaign, but it's been a hot minute, so maybe we will just do that again for the channel because I barely remember it. I just remember that I had fun and that I really enjoyed my time playing a warlock because during Legion you really felt those identities of the specs, and this character is dressed in a very cool set. This is the warlock set from the Bastion of Twilight / Throne of the Four Winds / Blackwing Descent in Cataclysm, the tier 11. Tier 11 is once again one of these sets that is almost a win for every single class, and they're very easily obtainable because you can farm them in 3 different rates, and you can also buy the base version just from the vendor in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. So if you like these sets, good news, they're fairly easy to farm and get. And the weapon is the hidden appearance of the Demonology Warlock once again, and once again we are missing our head. And on we move to Mary Sue. This is a character that I used the very first boost that we ever got with the purchase of an expansion, and this is my bank character from back in the day when I still used this server. And this character I simply haven't deleted yet because she's still on the Wrathian quest chain from Mists of Pandaria, and if you have a character that is still on that quest chain, then you can still do the quest chain. So it's not even really deleted from the game. They were just really mean about it and deleted it for anyone who wasn't on the quest anymore. I don't really get why you would do that, and I don't think I have to explain this set. This is once again one of these PvP sets that you can just buy in Dalaran, and the weapons drop from multiple bosses. I know that I got these daggers back in the day from one of the bosses in the old Scarlet Monastery. I don't even know where you get these anymore from, but hey, maybe someone in the comment section can answer that question. And the last character on this list is another rogue, and with this rogue I played through the entire Legion Orahel campaign of the rogue back in the day in Legion. And well, what can I say? I loved my time there. I loved the Outlaw spec. This was the first time that I played the Outlaw. Before the revamp in Legion, the Outlaw rogue was actually called the Combat spec and played a little bit different and didn't have all these, well, very piratey kind of things going on. And I always enjoyed Combat just as I enjoyed Outlaw, simply because it's this one rogue spec that you don't really need to be in stealth with all the time. And yeah, I don't think there is much more to say to Irene. The set that she's wearing is the Blackened Deifias set that you can get in the Dead Mines. I think I will just link the Wowhead article in the video description. And the weapons, once again, as every so often, are the Legion weapons of the Outlaw, and I'm pretty sure this is one of the PvP skins. And we've made it to the last realm. This is one of the combined server from Alaria, and if you thought that Alaria was an empty server, on Rexer it was even worse. That's why I not only have the name Sansa, but also the name Itachi. The latter one is just here to save me the name should I ever play on this server ever again. And Sansa is the rogue that I've created to do the insane title with. I ended up not using her for that, but she still got the Darkmoon Fair on Exalted, and I haven't had a heart to delete her yet. First of all, because she looks gorgeous. Second of all, because she has a cool name. And third of all, why would I? She has the Darkmoon Fair on Exalted. That is a reason to exist in its own. And with all of these characters looked at, I'm gonna end this episode right here and now. I thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like or a comment. I appreciate it and it helps so much. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing that as well. And like I already said in the beginning of the video, this is probably the last episode for quite a few days, maybe even a week or two, depending on how fast we can set all the stuff up that you need for doing videos and uploading them. But I will definitely keep you in the loop through some of these community posts, so keep an eye on those. And until we see each other again, I'm gonna say bye bye!